that responsible full charge is actually a $3,200 mistake. Physics shows that while touching 100% is fine, sitting there cooks your battery pack and kills resale value. Stop letting your Tesla linger at high voltage. Here is the one setting that fixes it. Join the owners saving thousands on repairs. Hit subscribe. The mistake most owners don't label as a mistake. Most owners don't think of this as a mistake. You plug in nightly, slide the charge limit to 90% or even 100%, and let the car sit full until morning. It feels responsible, full battery, maximum flexibility, no range anxiety. But your Tesla does not interpret that behavior emotionally. The BMS sees state of charge and cell voltage. And when the battery pack stays at a high voltage state for 8 to 10 hours overnight, that increases voltage exposure. Not dramatic damage, just quiet calendar aging that compounds. Touching 100% isn't the issue. Letting it sit there is. The top of charge window carries higher cell voltage. Higher voltage increases stress inside lithium-ion cells. The thermal management system controls heat. Balancing cycles protect the pack. But none of that changes the physics of prolonged high SOC. This is where degradation rate becomes a timing problem, not a percentage problem. If your daily commute only uses 20 to 30%, charging to 90 to 100% every night is unnecessary voltage exposure. That excess becomes slow capacity fade. Less usable capacity over time, slightly weaker range estimate, subtle efficiency loss. Individually, it looks harmless. Repeated for years, it influences pack longevity and resale value more than most owners realize. And that's where small habits quietly become expensive. What your Tesla is actually protecting you from. When charging slows after 80%, many assume something is wrong. When regenerative braking shows dotted limits, it feels like the car is holding back. It isn't. The battery management system isn't reacting to a problem. It's managing voltage ceiling, temperature window, and charge acceptance rate. Your SOC display shows a percentage. The BMS sees cell voltage, internal resistance, and heat inside the battery pack. From 0 to 80%, the charge curve allows higher current. At a supercharger, that may mean 150 to 250 kilowatts. After 80%, charging taper begins. Current drops, sometimes below 50 kilowatts. That isn't inefficiency, it's protection. Higher state of charge means higher sustained cell voltage. Higher voltage increases stress and heat buildup. Thermal management regulates temperature, but it can't eliminate voltage exposure. Software limits current to reduce long-term degradation risk. Reduced regen follows the same logic. Dotted lines aren't faults. They indicate temperature or SOC outside the optimal efficiency range. Your Tesla constantly manages usable capacity and energy buffer to protect pack longevity. The system is doing its job. The real question is whether your charging habits support that protection or quietly counteract it. The technical cause. It's not the number. It's the time. Here's what most owners miss. It isn't 100% that creates long-term cost. It's how long the battery stays there. Lithium-ion cells age through cycle aging and calendar aging. Cycle aging comes from driving and recharging. Calendar aging happens while the battery simply sits, especially at a high state of charge. High SOC means higher sustained cell voltage. Higher voltage increases chemical stress inside the cells. The battery management system manages temperature and limits extremes, but it cannot erase prolonged voltage exposure. Compare two scenarios. Charge to 100% and drive immediately. Charge to 100% at night and let it sit for 8 to 10 hours. Same percentage, different exposure time. The top of charge window carries the highest voltage inside the usable range. The longer the pack remains there, the more calendar aging accumulates. Not overnight. Gradually, over years of routine behavior. If your daily commute uses only a small portion of the battery, keeping it full creates unnecessary exposure. So this isn't about fearing 100%. It's about limiting extended time at high voltage. Small timing choices, repeated consistently, shape long-term degradation trends. The no-fluff action. Exact settings that fix it. The solution is practical and software-aligned. Tesla itself recommends avoiding letting the battery sit near extreme charge levels for long periods. For daily driving, set your charge limit between 70 and 80% in the Tesla app. If your commute requires more, 85% is still reasonable. The goal isn't restriction, it's reducing time in the top of charge window when you don't need it. Tesla's owner's manual also supports raising the limit only when required for longer trips, not as a daily routine. When you do need 90% or 100%, use timing. Enable scheduled departure or begin charging so it finishes 15 to 20 minutes before leaving. Drive soon after reaching that higher SOC. That shortens voltage exposure duration without sacrificing range. At superchargers, stop around 80% unless the additional range materially reduces your next stop. Charging taper after 80% means slower kilowatt delivery and more time sitting at elevated voltage. Lower daily limit. Finish close to departure. Avoid unnecessary overnight high SOC. You're not trying to maximize percentage. You're aligning your habit with how the pack was engineered. Practical benefit. You'll notice this isn't about chasing perfection. It's about consistency. When you reduce unnecessary time at high state of charge, daily use becomes smoother. Charging feels more predictable. The slow taper past 80% becomes a deliberate decision instead of wasted time. You spend less time waiting on those final percentages at a supercharger. Regenerative braking also behaves more consistently. When the pack hasn't sat at 100% overnight, you're less likely to see limited regen simply because the battery is full. The car feels balanced from the first drive. Over years, the real benefit is steadier capacity retention. Even a few preserved percentage points translate to more stable range estimates and less doubt on longer trips. It's not dramatic, it's gradual. And gradual aging is the goal. A pack that degrades predictably, maintains efficiency, and supports stronger resale confidence. Buyers notice displayed range and degradation trends. You're not stopping aging, you're smoothing it. Less taper time, fewer inefficient top-offs, more stable performance. Small habit shifts lead to calmer ownership and quieter protection of long-term value. Where the $3,200 comes from. Now let's clarify the money. This is not a guaranteed loss. It's an example ownership scenario. A consistent 2-3% additional capacity difference over 5 years may not sound dramatic, but resale pricing increasingly factors battery health transparency into valuation. Recurrent partners with Blackbook to adjust used EV values based on battery condition and range performance data. That means buyers and dealers are paying attention to usable capacity trends, not just mileage. On a vehicle in the $35,000 range, even a modest percentage shift in perceived battery condition can influence negotiation leverage by several $1,000s. Combine that with years of inefficient taper charging time and excess energy use from habitual top-offs, and the gap becomes realistic. This isn't about catastrophic battery failure. It's about incremental value erosion. Small degradation differences affect displayed range. Displayed range affects buyer confidence. Buyer confidence affects price. Over time, charging patterns shape the ownership story your vehicle tells at resale, and that story has a dollar value attached to it. Quick self-check. Are you in the risk zone? You don't need diagnostics, just look at your habits. If you charge nightly and let the car sit at 90-100% for hours, that's extended high voltage exposure. Not harmful short-term, just unnecessary, especially for short daily drives. If you top off to 100% and leave it full until morning, the battery is spending more time at peak voltage than required. If you supercharge to full and wait through the slow taper without needing the range, you're trading time for a number. The contrast is simple. Charging to 100% and driving soon after? Minimal impact. Setting a daily limit around 70 to 80%. And increasing only when needed, you're aligned with how the BMS protects the pack. The risk isn't touching 100%. It's staying there. Short commute, full battery, every night. The fix is small. Adjust the slider, improve timing, protect long-term stability. Final thought, the ownership principle. Most people learn late. Your Tesla doesn't degrade from one bad charge. It ages based on patterns. High state of charge isn't inherently harmful, it's contextual. The BMS manages temperature and protection limits, but it can't undo prolonged high voltage exposure if that becomes routine. The principle is simple. Charge for use, not for comfort. If you need the range, use it. If you don't, Avoid keeping the pack at peak voltage longer than necessary. Lower daily limits reduce calendar aging. Charging closer to departure shortens exposure time. Stopping around 80% at a supercharger keeps you in the efficient part of the curve. This isn't fear-based, it's alignment. When your habits match lithium-ion behavior, capacity retention stays steadier, range estimates feel more stable, and resale discussions become easier. Small voltage decisions compound over time. That's how you avoid a quiet $3,200 erosion in ownership value. Master the timing, not just the percentage. If you value clear, technical Tesla ownership guidance without the noise, subscribe and stay informed.